You've seen this image a million times, right? The Taj Mahal. It's the ultimate symbol of love, a wonder of the world. But the story you think you know, the one of marble and romance, well, it's missing its main character. So let's dig in and uncover a story that's been hiding in plain sight for centuries.
There's this incredible line from the great poet Ghalib, and it reminds us that so much of the past is just buried, concealed in the dust. And in the case of the Taj Mahal, that's not just a metaphor. For the Taj, it's literal. The biggest clues to its real story are actually in the soil.
Okay, so we all know the famous story, right? In 1631, the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan is completely heartbroken after his favorite wife, Mumtaz Mahal, passes away. So, to honor her, he spends the next 20-plus years building the most stunning tomb the world has ever seen. It's a beautiful story. It's romantic. But what if it's also incomplete?
I mean, what if we've all been looking at the wrong thing? We're so dazzled by the shimmering white marble that we've totally missed the point. Let's try shifting our focus from the structure to the ground it's built on, because that's where the real story is.
All right, so our investigation, our first clue, it starts with a name. A name that was used for centuries before Taj Mahal ever became a thing, and it holds the key to everything that's been lost.
See, the Mughals, they called it Rauza Imanawara, and that first word, Rauza, is everything. It doesn't just mean tomb. Its root, Rauda, is the Arabic word for garden. This is huge. The garden wasn't just some nice landscaping. It was fundamental, baked right into the name. This wasn't the Taj Mahal with a garden. This was a garden tomb.
And you can totally see what a huge difference this makes. The original Mughal garden was meant to be an immersive experience. Just picture it, walking through thick groves of fruit trees, smelling fragrant flowers, hearing the sounds of water everywhere, and you'd only catch glimpses of the tomb as you walked. What we have today is basically a British park. Big open lawns with the tomb presented right there, all at once, like a statue on a pedestal. The conversation between nature and architecture, well, it's become a monologue, and the building is doing all the talking.
So this didn't just happen by accident. How does a living, breathing paradise garden, something so central to the identity of the world's most famous monument, just disappear?
Well, the answer takes us to the late 1800s, and to a man who, he really did love the Taj Mahal. The problem was, he loved his own idea of what was beautiful even more. His name was Lord Curzon, the Viceroy of British India. Get this, for more than 250 years, the original Mughal garden was there, it was thriving. Then, in just a blink of an eye, we're talking about a 6-year window, Lord Curzon's vision completely replaces it. He looked at what he thought was just an overgrown, messy garden and decided he could improve it.
And we don't even have to guess what he was thinking because he wrote it all down. He genuinely believed that tearing out the historic trees and flowers and putting in a simple lawn was an upgrade. He called it far more beautiful. It was all about that clean, tidy English look.
And yeah, he wasn't even trying for historical accuracy. He says it right here. Being pedantically accurate just wasn't necessary. His project wasn't restoration, as we think of it. It was a complete makeover, guided by nothing more than his own taste.
And look, this wasn't just one guy's opinion. The official in charge of archaeology, a man Curzon himself appointed, basically said the same thing. He argued that they should change it to suit modern taste, which, let's be honest, meant Western colonial taste. The original meaning didn't matter as much as making a nice park for European tourists.
Okay, but why is this such a big deal? I mean, it's just a garden, right? Well, no. By erasing the garden, they erased layers and layers of meaning. A Mughal garden was never just a pretty backdrop. It was a library of culture, a symbol of power, and a piece of their identity.
You have to understand, for the Mughals, building gardens was like writing a new chapter in their family's story. It starts with the first emperor, Babur, who built gardens because he missed his home. Then his successor, Humayun, takes it up a notch and puts his tomb right in the middle of one. Then Jahangir and Nur Jahan perfect these beautiful gardens along the river. And Shah Jahan, he takes all of that history and synthesizes it into the ultimate expression of his dynasty's power and legacy.
So a Mughal garden wasn't just one thing. It was this incredible, multi-layered symbol. Yes, of course, it represented the Quranic vision of paradise, but it was also a raw statement of imperial power. Look how we can order nature. It was a direct connection to their ancestors, and it was like a famous poem brought to life. Those British lawns, they flattened all that rich symbolism into just one simple picture.
And this is where it gets really cool, because understanding the garden is the key to cracking the biggest myth about the Taj Mahal, the legend of the Black Taj.
You've probably heard this one, right? The story that Shah Jahan was going to build a second identical Taj for himself right across the river, but made of black marble, a dark twin to his wife's tomb. It's a great story.
But the truth, which we've only rediscovered pretty recently, is so much more amazing. Shah Jahan wasn't planning a second tomb. He was planning a second garden, the Mahal Bagh, which means the moonlight garden.
And bam! This solves the single biggest puzzle about the Taj's design. Why is the tomb at the very back of the garden and not in the center like all the other Mughal tombs? Because it wasn't the back. Once you include the moonlight garden across the river, you realize the mausoleum is the perfect, stunning centerpiece of one massive, unified garden complex. With the river flowing right through the middle of it, it all clicks into place.
And we know this for a fact. This isn't just a theory. First, archaeologists in the 1990s literally dug up the foundations of a huge pool and fountains that perfectly mirrored the garden on the other side. Then, we even have a letter from 1652 where Shah Jahan's own son mentions flood damage to the Mahal garden. The evidence is all there.
So that whole legend of a Black Taj, it was basically a ghost story, a faint folk memory of a grand design that was buried by floods and forgotten over time. Shah Jahan's real vision wasn't some dark symbol of his own death. It was the completion of this huge, perfectly balanced, sprawling vision of paradise right here on Earth. It really makes you think, doesn't it? The true epic story of the Taj Mahal wasn't written in marble. It was planted in the soil. And if a story this profound can be hidden at the most famous, most studied monument on the entire planet, just imagine what other incredible histories are hiding right under our feet, just waiting to be seen.